Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're excited to be here and excited y'all took time out of your busy day. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics today, streamlining compliance and selling more from online to in-store. Now, for those of you who have joined some of our prior sessions, we really tend to focus on compliance and even a bit of a software demo. And we're going to do things a little bit different today where we're not going to show a software demo. We're going to keep this session more educational, focusing really on compliance and best practices, and also how retailers can just sell more and really expand even their digital footprint and digitize their entire business. So before we get to it, some quick housekeeping. We are recording this session, so as soon as the session completes, we will send the recorded link to all of our registered attendees. And on the right pane, there's an area where you can ask questions. So we encourage you to ask questions, chat them in the box, and then we'll save time at the end of the session to answer all of your questions. If we don't get to all the questions because we run out of time, we will answer your questions via email. All right, so with that, we will kick it off. We'll do some quick introductions first. Dylan, you want to kick us off?
Dylan McLean, I'm the Vice President, Jim's Firearms. I use all of the things that we're going to be talking about today, so I think that's why I'm here. So.
Jamie?
Jameson Collins, Vice President of Sales at FastBound. We specialize in compliance software from your bound books to the 4473s.
Hello, everyone. I'm Travis Glover. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Silencer Shop and 4473 Cloud.
And I'm Alexis Tennell. I'm the Director of Operations here for FFL Guard.
I'm Zeke Hamdani, Director of Web Services at Cellerant Technology with Michelle.
Thank you all. And my name is Michelle Salerno. I'm the Chief Growth Officer here at Cellerant. I work out of our main office in New Jersey, and we've got 7 offices, and Zeke, of course, is in our Atlanta office. So we'll do some quick introductions for each of our companies. There's quite a few of us on this call today, so we'll do this kind of quickly so we can really get into the good stuff. And we'll start with Jim's. Dylan, can you just talk a little bit about Jim's and your 33 years in business?
Yeah, absolutely. Like she said, we've been around for 33 years. We were paper for a very long time. Recently have switched to being completely electronic using FastBound 4473 Cloud. FFL Guard we've been a member with them for 10, 15 years almost now. And obviously the kind of the piece that ties all this together for us is Stratus Enterprise. We use that.
Awesome. And 2 stores and e-commerce. Go ahead, Jameson.
FastBound Firearms compliance software. We've been in business since 2010. We're over 6,000 active FFLs that trust us to keep them compliant every day. So we're going to handle all of your acquisitions or dispositions, your electronic 4473s. We've got plans that start at $9 a month for the guy that's selling guns out of his house, just getting started. And then we've got plans that go up to over $5 million for some distributors. So we can definitely handle any type of, firearm compliance you guys need.
4473 Cloud, we launched in 2021. Since then, we've added 2,000 FFLs across the country that are using our software. We don't do the bound book in 4473 like Jameson does at FastBound. We just do the digital storage. So if you're using FastBound, that's awesome. Super easy to pass documents from FastBound to Cloud. But no matter what you're using, as long as you're using a digital bound book in 4473, you can store your 4473s in 4473 Cloud.
Right, thanks. Alexis?
Yeah, in FFL Guard, we're known for our cooperative legal and compliance services. Everything from telling you how to get started and helping you get an FFL all the way through best practices and surviving an audit. We got your back. Jim's Firearms has been a client pretty much since inception, and we've been around over 16 years supporting only the firearms industry.
Love that. And at Cellerant, we are a retail software provider. So we offer point of sale, e-commerce, apps, even digital marketing. We're really a one-stop shop for all of your retail software needs. We have 7 offices. We have about 220 team members across the country and even some international. We have been in the industry for 25 years, and we've been a preferred software provider for the NSSF and the NRA for almost 20 of those years. And of course, we've been working with gyms now for a couple years, helping really digitize their entire store and e-commerce. And that's really, at the end of the day, what we're all about and how we help dealers. All right, so we got through the introductions rather, and now we'll get to some of the good stuff. So high level, we're going to talk about a couple of key areas today. First, Alexis is going to really walk us through insights into common ATF violations and how to avoid them. We're going to talk about strategies to automate compliance in the cloud. What features you as a dealer should really look for, both in store, at your point of sale, also for e-commerce, of course, when we talk about compliance and the bound book. We're going to talk about the ROI for adopting integrated software for your entire business, how using an entire all-in-one system in one platform can really help you save time and increase revenue. And then we're going to do something different, something new for this session. We'll end with some key takeaways. We've got some really awesome industry experts here, and so everyone will give their biggest takeaway and recommendation for you as an independently owned firearm dealer. And of course, at the end, we'll save time for some Q&A. So remember to send your questions over, and we will get to them at the end of the live session. And with that, I will pass it over to Alexis to talk through common ATF violations.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right in here and start talking about the deadly sins. Although there has been word from the ATF Director's Office that they may be taking a little step back from some of these, we haven't seen any of this in the field yet. So until we see it, it's bond. But basically, ATF has published a list of deadly sins. Those are transferring a firearm to a prohibited person, failing to conduct the required background check, falsifying records, failing to respond to a trace request, and refusing to allow ATF to conduct an inspection. I know everybody sees those and thinks, hey, I'll never do those, but we're going to talk through how you end up with that violation and kind of how really easy it is to end up with one of those. Other top violations include failing to account for all the firearms, right? So your A&D book is inaccurate. Failure to verify and document a buyer's eligibility. You know, there are certain things that must be attached to the 4473, certain information that must be captured, and folks fail at that. Failure to maintain records needed for a successful tracing. You still have your license. You're responsible for the traces from the beginning of that license to the end of that license. You got to complete them. And failure to report multiple sales, handguns and long guns. And as a reminder, long gun multiple sales now need to be reported for 07 and 08 type FFLs that are in those southern border states. The big kicker to know with violation is anytime you get a repeat violation, you know, you got it maybe 2 years ago when they were there, it is considered willful, and steps can start churning to revoke that license. And it's really important to know over 200 FFLs lost their license last year. We're on pace to see that again this year. Those are the FFLs that actually lost their license. That doesn't even account for all the ones that battled all the way to the end and were able to maintain that. The deadly sin, so what on earth does that mean? It means that the industry operations investigator that's conducting your inspection, that's responsible for that, has no discretion. A notice of revocation will be issued. Once you're issued a notice of revocation, any other licenses that you hold or are a responsible party on will not be renewed, and you cannot apply for new licenses. They will sit holding. So, you know, you can't get a notice of revocation and hurry up and try to get a different license. Everything stops. What is an NOR, a notice of revocation? It's an official notice from ATF that your license is being revoked and you have to stop all firearms transactions as of an effective date. You can request a hearing to try to present evidence why you should keep your license, but during that hearing, every inspection report, every piece of evidence, every copy of a document they've ever collected while you've had your license will be presented as evidence. And anything that is that repeat violation is automatically considered willful during those conversations. So, like I said, these are more common and easier to get than you think. Transferring to a prohibited person typically occurs when you failed to recognize the buyer was prohibited. Something in section B, they indicated they were prohibited and you just missed it. Or the buyer is not qualified for the purchase. So age, residency, immigration status, that's how you end up there. Failing to conduct the required background check. A background check is only valid for 30 days from the day it was initiated. That's 30 days, including weekends and holidays, all is included. The day you initiated is day one. It is not uncommon that folks accidentally release firearms after that 30 days has expired. The other common cause is you accept a permit that wasn't exempt, or you have somebody who's purchasing firearms with an approved NFA form. However, there are firearms subject to the Gun Control Act on that transaction as well, and you don't conduct the required background check for those. When you're exempt from a background check for an approved ATF form, you're only exempt for the NFA items listed on that form. If there's any additional item, like say, buying the pistol to go with their suppressor or something, you still have to run the background check for that pistol. Falsifying records. This typically occurs due to corrections. So you are only allowed to make changes to the seller section of the 4473. The buyer is the only one that may make changes to the buyer section of the 4473. You can't go in and make a quick correction on their behalf. The buyer must do it, initial and date it, if it pertains to their section. Failing to respond to a trace request. Folks, you have 24 hours to respond to a trace request, and that's just 24 hours. It's not 24 business hours. It's not 24, working days. It's 24 hours. If you get it at 8 p.m. on a Friday, it's due no later than 8 p.m. Saturday. It is super important that you have a process and procedure to retrieve and respond to those trace requests. Failure to do so, maybe you can't find the records, maybe you know where they are, but you're digging, maybe you're out of town. Failure to do that automatically results in a revocation. And refusing to allow ATF in for an inspection. Folks, you've got to keep your information accurate with the Federal Firearms Licensing Center. They are allowed to do an inspection anytime during normal business hours. If your business hours have changed, if you've, maybe you put business hours down, but they're different now. You used to be open on Sunday, you're not. You have got to keep those updated with the Federal Firearms Licensing Center. It does matter.
And I'll add, later, a little bit later, we'll talk more about the software and how using an automated system can really help with a lot of this. But Alexis, little plug here, but can you speak to how a dealer who's working with FastBound gets backed by y'all at FFL Guard, and how, if they do have a situation where something happens and they need that support, how y'all step in and help?
Absolutely. So FFL Guard is responsible for validating that FastBound is compliant with all regulations, right? So that means that its software, using their software, there is no part of that system that would be non-compliant. Now then, if for some reason you're ever cited for something that indicates your software had a non-compliant process or system with FastBound, FFL Guard would represent you at no additional charge, right? So we believe in their software. We back that software extensively. And so if you're ever in a position where you're getting violations for something related to FastBound's process and procedure, the software programming, FFL Guard would be there and you would not have to pay for that representation.
Yeah, and that's
We
just
work
a
with them
really,
on a regular basis. So
Yeah.
we're
yeah,
always, hey, what about this? What about this? Making sure that any enhancements or improvements are verified by them.
it's a big
Absolutely.
differentiator, and we have a lot of our dealers, who use Cellerant software on the call and considering the switch to FastBound, and that's just a really great, huge benefit that you'll get when you use our integration to the FastBound bound books.
Yeah, for sure. There are lots of things that you can do right now to not end up a statistic with ATF in your FFL. The number one thing is keep your 4473s clean. Only attach what is required to be attached. Lots of folks, you want to make copies of a driver's license, you want to attach it to the 4473. The moment it's attached to that 4473, it becomes part of the regulated record. It is perfectly acceptable for the IOI to reconcile the information you've recorded to that photocopy, and then any discrepancies are a violation. You are not required to make a copy of an identification, nor are you required to attach it to the back of the 4473. Don't do it. If you would like to maintain a copy, you have to keep in mind, first of all, there's a lot of personally identifying information on that identification. There are controls that must be in place around who can access that information, but it should also be filed in your business files, not with the 4473. You've got to know what must be attached to the 4473. There are only a few documents that are required to be attached. If there's any continuation form for firearms from Section A, that must be attached. If you're accepting an exception to the non-immigration prohibition, a copy of that must be attached to the 4473. And any multiple sales report associated with that 4473 must be attached. And that's it. Any other documents that you're collecting or making copies of should not be attached to your 4473 and should be kept in separate business files. Folks, you've got to create and maintain standard operating procedures. A member of your team should not be training other members of your team just from their memory. Okay, I always joke and call it training by urban legend. Compliance and regulatory requirements change all the time, right? Be sure you have written SOPs and that you maintain them. Create and maintain a denied persons list. If somebody is denied for a firearm in your store, keep a list, keep their address, check that back and forth to be sure there's no straw purchases happening, because ATF is going to walk in with a list of every denied transaction you have. And the first thing they're going to do is look for similarities in other transactions, right? They're going to look for that address. They're going to look for that last name. They're going to look for that firearm. And they are going to attempt to find those straw purchases. You should be the first to know that and stop it. Create and maintain a training log, a law enforcement communications log, right? You want to be able to prove that you've trained your employees and you've trained them correctly. You also want to show your interactions with law enforcement, show them that you are assisting and being a partner in public safety. Implement a delayed transaction management program. The easiest way to do all of these things is with software. However, if you're still on paper, you should have a strict process for this. You need to be sure that those background checks aren't expired, that the required waiting days have passed. You got to know what defines those, right? Your team has to understand what a waiting day is versus 30 days for a background check. They're completely different definitions. You need to implement a trace request tracking and response log. You need to have somebody who is responsible 24/7 for any trace request that comes in every day of the year, all right? You need to have that in place, and you need to have a backup, right? Things happen, people go on vacation, weekends and nights. Be sure that you have that covered at all hours. Validate and update your information with the Federal Firearms Licensing Center. Be sure they know and that you validate who are the responsible persons on your license, that you add and remove people as needed, that you notify ATF of any change in control, and especially those business hours, right? They're looking to come in to see you during your business hours, and if you're not there, you have a problem. You've got to be inspection ready every day, right? You can't let things pile up. You can't say, hey, I'll get to that on Friday. You got to be ready every day. You've got to be confident that when ATF walks in, your records are up to par and ready for them to execute a thorough inspection. ATF publishes monthly inspection reports, right? You can look at exactly how many in your area, you know, your field area from ATF. You can see how many inspections did they do, how many warning conferences, and how many revocations were issued for your area. You could be really surprised at the results, and those are available on ATF's website.
And hopefully you're using the right kind of software in your store so that when they do, if and when they do come in, you can pull up whatever is needed with just a couple of clicks. And so we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, so the bottom line here is prevention is the only insurance for your license. There's no way to undo a violation once it's occurred, okay? All you can attempt to do is prove it's not willful. The violation is still citable. You know, an error was made, you attempt to correct it, sure, but you will still receive a violation for that. Hopefully the steps you've taken prove it's not willful. Digital systems save licenses. Labor hours do not. All right, I have been in compliance for years for the firearms industry. I see it over and over again. Stores do 4 checks on a 4473 before it's filed, and they're still wrong, right? You know, you're spending huge dollars to check and recheck that form, where you could spend a fraction of that on a digital provider, and the computer's never tired. The computer's never, you know, got the phone ringing, customers at the counter. It just executes. I cannot encourage you enough to take every step possible to protect your license right now. ATF is on track for nearly 10,000 inspections to be conducted in 2024. We don't anticipate that would change for next fiscal year. And the digital systems are the way to keep you on the straight and narrow, to protect that license and reduce that chance of getting a violation.
Great. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about 4473 and digital storage and how you can really save time, save paper, save space, and put it all in the cloud. Trav?
Thanks, Michelle. So yeah, you know, since 2008, you've been able to use a digital bound book and a digital 4473 to collect the information from the customer. That's when ATF ruling 2008-1 and 2008-2 came out. You know, you didn't need to do a variance request to do that. And Jameson's going to talk a lot about that here coming up. But the digital storage of 4473s, it took a long time for us to get there, but in 2022, they finally told us we could start storing 4473s digitally without the need for a variance as well. But that being said, there are parameters around that. You can't just decide you're going to save a PDF copy of your 4473 and it work, right? So there are 2 rulings that specifically affect not only the 4473s that you store digitally, but also how long do you have to store them. So the first one we'll talk about, ATF ruling 2021 R-05F. If you look at that exceedingly long ruling, it's really about frames and receivers. And it goes into a ridiculous amount of information regarding what is a frame and receiver. But they snuck a little piece in there towards the end of the ruling that basically said you have to keep 4473s forever. Prior to this, prior to August 2022, if a 4473 you transferred a firearm, it had to be kept for 20 years. If you contacted NICS, it had to be kept for 5 years. And if it was denied by NICS, you had to keep them for 5 years as well. But all that goes out the window. Now you have to keep every 4473 that you start for the life of your FFL. So if you think about how many 4473s do you have in the back, in bankers' boxes, or as Dylan will talk about, in folders, man, it adds up a lot quicker than you think it will, especially when you're keeping every single form that you touch and you start, right? So ATF ruling that requires you to keep it forever, and then they followed that right up with a ruling that says, yeah, you got to keep them forever, but you no longer have to keep them in paper form. But in order to do that, the software you use has to meet 16 very specific requirements. And I'm not going to go through all of them today. I would encourage you to absolutely look at ATF ruling 2022-1, read ATF ruling 2022-1 thoroughly so that you understand what the software you're going to use. Make sure that that software meets those requirements. The biggest thing I can convey to you here, and this will also apply when Jameson is talking, but it is 100% solely your responsibility as an FFL to ensure that the software you use is compliant. We're also certified by the folks at FFL Guard that says, hey, the software is compliant, but there are plenty out there that aren't, attorney-backed compliance, right? So make sure that you understand the ruling, make sure you understand all of the requirements before you make a decision. And make sure that when you're talking to software companies and you're vetting them, don't let Jameson off the hook easy, right? Challenge him on all those requirements in 2016-1 and 2016-2, the two most recent rulings for bound book and electronic 4473s. Or if you're talking to us, challenge us on every one of 2022-1 requirements. It is your responsibility, right? And don't just ask the question and let us tell you the answer. Challenge us, make us show you how it meets those requirements. Again, when it comes down to it, ATF's going to want you to be compliant. They don't care what I say. They care what you're doing and the software you're using is compliant. So again, 16 specific requirements, a couple high level pieces of that. Your 4473s have to be stored in a tamper evident file format. A lot of folks think a PDF is unalterable. That is categorically false. A PDF is barely more secure than a Word document. So make sure that they're doing something to ensure that those 4473s are stored in a manner that they cannot be touched or tampered with. You are required to notify ATF 60 days in advance of storing digital. During those 60 days, you can keep a digital copy, but you also must print a copy for those 60 days, and then you can go fully digital on day 61. You have to have the ability, Alexis touched on this slightly, you have to have the ability to edit a 4473. So the software you're using has to have a tool involved where you can make an edit to a copy of the original, not to the original. And that needs to be done by you as the transferor or the transferee, the customer. But you have to have software that gives you the ability to do that, which leads right into the next bullet point, which again, the original copy can never be altered. Once the customer signs and dates it, you sign and date it, and that transaction is finalized, you cannot make a correction on that copy of the form. It has to be done on a copy of that form and stored as attached to the 4473. And you have to be able to keep all those supplemental documents that Alexis talked about earlier attached to the 4473. And I agree with Alexis 100%. And Alexis and I've known each other for a long time, and she knows I've said this for a long time. Do not keep anything with a 4473 that is not required to be with a 4473. Keep as many copies of whatever you want from a business perspective, but keep them stored completely separately. And don't give ATF access to those documents. Even if they ask for it, they're not entitled to it. Tell them to get a subpoena. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just telling you, tell them to get a subpoena, and then you'll cooperate, right? So then you want to have some level of restricted access to those documents for ATF. In fact, I was on the phone with an FFL today who specifically told me that when ATF was in doing an inspection, they said, well, we'll just take all your forms with us and we'll do the inspection at our office. Thankfully, she had a compliance person who knew what they were talking about, and they politely told ATF no. And make sure the digital storage software you're using has those parameters as well, right? ATF is allowed to come into your store once every 12 months to do a compliance inspection unannounced, but they are required to do it unless you give them permission within the four walls of your store, right? So make sure that you know that, and make sure that the software supports you in that.
That was your takeaway too at our client conference a couple months ago, not to put any additional information on that and give them only what they need, because that will get you potentially in trouble.
It benefits you zero. It only sets you up to be cited by ATF. It's as simple as that. You're serving them up a softball. Don't do that. And one other thing, it does save money. It does save time when you go digital and you store digitally. When you're doing specifically an ATF trace, and maybe Dylan will touch on this when he's talking, when you have to go through years of paper and you're trying to find 14473, again, you only have 24 hours. Doesn't matter what day of the week they send it to you on. That can take a long time, right? You have to go into the store and physically look for that 4473, and you've got dust everywhere and it's a disaster, right? Digitally, you can find a 4473 in a matter of seconds. Have it downloaded, email it back to them. You've completed your trace. You have a confirmation now, right? You've sent that email, so you have the confirmation that you met the 24-hour requirement. And going digital is the only way to do that. It's the only way to ensure that you meet those ATF trace requirements so quickly. And it's a bonus that you save money. It's way cheaper than paper and ink and banker's boxes. And you free up all that space that used to be full of all the 4473s. And now you can make sure you have additional inventory that you need to sell as much as you can during the times that you need it, which of course, right, we're in the gun industry, so the fall. So digital storage benefits you on so many levels. Yes, compliance, but it also impacts your operations. And it truly is the next step, the next evolutionary step for us to go from bound book, electronic 4473 completion, and then storing it digitally.
Awesome. So next we're going to talk really more specifically about key software features that you should be looking for. We talked a lot about technology and software, and what should you actually be looking for, and what questions should you be asking when you're looking for compliance software, and then we'll get to some questions for point of sale and also e-com after that.
Awesome. To just kind of jump in, one of the most important things is legal defense, guaranteed. FastBound offers it, 4473 Cloud does. You guys are putting your bound book information, FastBound, you're trusting that our 4473s are correct. When you guys are going out and researching it, ask these companies if you're looking around, hey, so if you guys do something wrong, what will you do? Because at the end of the day, you're liable. Are they just going to say, oh, it was a development software glitch, sorry, good luck, hopefully you don't lose your license? Make sure that the company is going to stand behind their product. Like I said earlier, we work with 6,000 FFLs. I feel great that I sell product that works, that does not get dealers in troubles. So I can sleep at night and I know that I'm selling you guys product that's going to keep you compliant, and it's going to make sure that you're comfortable and ATF shows up that your bound book's right, your 4473s are good, and all of your processes are compliant. It is really important. I hear a lot of guys call, hey, I just want to do a digital 4473. The problem when that happens there is that it's not tied to your bound book. So your disposition records don't always match your acquisition records. They're not going to match your 4473s on that contacts information. That's why FastBound has to have the bound book. With simple integrations to Cellerant, you're receiving the guns on a purchase order. It pushes over to the system. You literally hit a button, scan the serial, confirm that all the ATF fields are correct, fill out the 4473, and it all seamlessly pushes back. So it's an easy process. Your software needs to make sure that you have compliance warnings. Did the dates not match? Did somebody, check that they're a felon? Like, you don't want to sell to them. You don't want to run a NICS check. Are they under 21 trying to purchase a pistol? Little things like that, you want it to jump out. God forbid that you are trying to, run or complete a 4473 that's been 30 days over the NICS. You want the software to jump out and say, hey, you can't do it. NICS is a big thing, and point of contact states, what integrations does it look like with the system? FastBound's integrated with almost every stayed out there. We've got a Nix background extension that pastes everything in there, so you're not having to sit there and type everything. We're doing Nix Direct, where through APIs, it's going to push automatically. So all of that stuff's really important to look at. Multiple sales. You guys have it reported by the end of the business day. We capture that, we track it to make sure that if you sell to the same individual within 5 business days, the software is going to generate the report. We allow you to print it out or attach it to 4473 Cloud. That way it's automatically put in with that 4473. And then all you have to do is hit transmit, and we're going to email that to the ATF and the Clio for you. Easy check integrations. It's really important that you guys are acquiring and disposing to the correct FFL. The FFL changes every 3 years, and you can't just use the RDS. You have to use the full number. So FastBound's integrated to Easy Check. We pull it every night. So if an FFL goes out of business in the software, we're going to let you know, hey, this is no longer valid. Maybe they move, maybe they're no longer in business. But if they're not valid, we'll let you know, or we're going to pull in all the correct information. Audit trails, it's compliance stuff. Everything's tracked. You change the ATF field, it has to show in the bound book. Change the sale price, users, and things like that. All of that's in FastBound. You want to make sure that you can go back and look at any changes to any ATF fields as it's required in 2016-1. Training and support, I mean, that's a huge thing. If you guys get stuck, you got a client in front of you, make sure that there's support. There's a lot of companies out there that, they're point of sales, or no offense, but they're doing a bunch of different things. And when it comes to compliance, you need to get an answer right away. Make sure that they have a strong support company. Everyone on this call today has an awesome support team. I hear nothing but great things about it. So I know that FastBound, we've got less than a 2-minute response time. So check it out when you create a trial account. Actually try it and say, hey, I need help, and see how long it takes for them to respond.
Being able to, I can't stress that enough, being able to pick up the phone and call and get someone on the phone instantly is just such a tremendous value, and so important when it comes to training and support.
Yeah, because you don't want to be stuck on something and lose a sale.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times FFL Guard gets an urgent question because somebody has an issue, they've reached out to their software provider and they didn't get a response, and they're kind of left in limbo. So yes, customer service and the ability to get that response is huge.
And that's not just a sales pitch from Jameson. That's 100%. I can tell you right now, I've pestered him plenty on questions that we've had, or just, I can't figure out how to do something, even the minor stuff. It's almost immediate. If not, 5 minutes feels like, the longest time ever. I think I've ever waited for them to get back to me.
Dylan texts me and Zeke on Saturday mornings.
Just checking in on you.
Keeping us on our toes.
Compliance updates, of course, is probably, a really important one, is that we're pushing out updates before the deadlines. We always know of any new requirements, releases. We've got to go through and develop that software. We've got to work with FFL Guard to make sure that it's compliant while we're building that out. A lot of times we're going back and saying, hey, wait a minute. I think last time there was an error on the Spanish form. So we actually had to go to FFL Guard, and then that was notified. So there was a correction. Little things like that. But make sure your software is always updated before the deadlines, and that it is automatically updated. So you're not having to go buy a new version or re-download it. I mean, that's really important, because you don't want to use the wrong version of the software and 2 years later find out that you've been on the wrong 4473.
And then I'll switch it slightly to talk more about point of sale, and if you have a range. I can't say, for so many years, we've worked with so many firearm dealers who are using point of sale software that's not built for firearm dealers. And it really blows my mind, but it happens all the time. And some of y'all are probably in that situation where you're using, a point of sale that's just not meant for the firearms industry. And you might probably be able to get it to work to accomplish what you need. Your bound book may be separate, or whatever you're doing to get through the day. But when you have an all-in-one system or a connected system, and all the systems that you're using are built for the firearm industry, it's going to save you so much time. It's going to streamline so many of your processes, help to avoid so much manual data entry, which then will avoid so many mistakes. So we talked all about compliance today, but there's so many other things and areas that your point of sale and your e-commerce software should really do for you as a firearms dealer. So whether it's, you know, being a mobile point of sale, you can take a tablet to the SHOT Show or any of your trade shows, you can connect back to your store in real time. Distributor integrations, right? Whether it's Lipsy's or Sports South or, you know, whichever distributors you're using, being able to, or Silencer Shop, being able to import your catalogs and automate ordering, have an online product feed, offer an endless aisle of products on your website, in your store, facilitate drop ship. I mean, I could do a whole webinar just on that. But there's so many areas where when you're using a point of sale system that's really built for our industry, you can accomplish so much. If you have a range, having your range lane management, your class and course scheduling, even if you don't have a range, Dylan, you guys don't have a range, but you do classes, right? You do some safety classes and different things. So being able to manage all of that within one system and have it connected to your compliance software, you know, whether you're using our internal A&D and our Cellerant software, or we have our seamless integration that we keep talking about today to FastBound, and then having all of that built in with one system, it's going to save you so much time and really help you get that ROI. And Zeke, talk a little bit, if you could, about the e-commerce and, again, having it all connected on one system, the huge benefits there.
Yeah, sure. Just to add to what you're saying, Michelle, compliance also plays into e-commerce when you're selling firearms and ammo. You know, you can't just take any e-commerce website and sell guns as products. You have to follow certain rules. You can only ship it to FFLs, and then it goes deeper. You know, you have to know what you can sell to which states. Like, you cannot just send any gun to California. It has to be California compliant. And then, you know, ammo is the same way. Different states will take different types of magazines, different types of ammo. There's a lot of restrictions. There's a lot of nuances that are involved in here that you have to be compliant with. And then, you know, we, like Michelle said, we talked a lot about compliance, but we also at the same time got to do the business, right? We got to grow the business. So the lowest hanging fruit would be to make sure you have a digital footprint. As in fully integrated e-commerce, and fully integrated e-commerce means you're not really maintaining two systems. The inventory that you have in your point of sale system for your stores is what's used on the website, plus any drop shipping capabilities that you may want. And then also, you know, you want to be current with the times. If you have a range, you should have a mobile app that's for the range, for the members. So they can see their points, they can see their reservations, they can, you know, schedule classes, and you basically stay in contact with your customers and give them better experience in the range. You know, there's another integration that we are going to be doing with Jameson's FFL is for the FFL locators. Jameson mentioned that they keep a very sanitized list of FFLs, which is what we're going to be leveraging on our websites as the FFL locator. And the reason for that is what we've been doing is, you know, we get a new list from ATF every 3 months or so, but we're not maintaining it nightly like Jameson is. So leveraging that data will give our clients even more current data and more, you know, more cushion, basically, you know, from verification standpoint. So we will be integrating into that system in the next month or two, and will be available on our e-commerce. But yeah, like you said, Michelle, this could be a session in itself. There's so much that we can talk about. But all I want to say is, you know, while staying compliant, you gotta still grow.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, that's the crux of it, I think.
All right, so we have 15 minutes left, and we have quite a few more slides to get through. Just a couple more slides for the presentation, and then we'll do some key takeaways. We'll go around the horn really quick, and then we've got lots of questions rolling into. So, Jameson, you want to just talk briefly about how the point of sale and the integration works with FastBound and how it helps save time? And
it's super easy. With y'all, you have a catalog. You can order from distributors. The product shows up. You literally, on your purchase order, you receive it in. It's a firearm. You put in all the ATF fields. You hit receive. We automatically acquire it into FastBound. Now it's in your bound book. You're not having to go back and double entry it. You're not having to handwrite it down or anything like that. Once it's in your bound book, then you can do a 4473 on it. Customer comes in, they fill it out digitally, they digitally sign it, all the warnings and checks and balances are there, it's filled out correctly. Once you've gone through and done a NICS check or done the background, if it's an NFA item, once it's ready to be released, you can pull it up in the point of sale and then you can take payment for it. Once you finalize that sales order, it literally just, you click complete, it disposes the gun for you out of FastBound, it notifies you if it's multiple sale, and it, it's properly logged out of your bound book. During that process, when you're done with the 4473, once you viewed it, everything looks good, you just hit send to 4473 cloud if you're doing digital storage, and then it's backed up in the cloud, so you're not having to print out all 7 wonderful pages and put that in a banker's box. Is that quick enough?
That was good. Yes.
Yeah. I've done it a few
course,
times.
If anyone's interested in actually seeing a demo, we usually do give a little sneak peek of a demo in these sessions, but we're not going to do that today. But of course, we're happy to schedule a one-on-one, and of course, Jameson can show you the software. Zeke and I can show you our software and how it all works together. But at the end of the day, it's all about connecting everything in one system and having that integration and that automation and have the data flowing back and forth. So it's less manual entry and less work on your side. So high level, we talked about a lot of different aspects here. We touched on some of this on the image that you see here, but at the end of the day, it's all about using a connected system and integrating all aspects of your business into one system. And the reasons why, they're up on the screen here. You want to be able to manage all your sales channels as one. You want to be able to save time and enter products and update products from your distributors, be able to manage all that in one place and have it update all your channels, whether it's your store, your e-com, your app, or all the different places, marketplaces, all the different places where you're selling products. You want to be able to offer more products, right? You want to grow your sales, offer that endless aisle, and you can do that through leaning on your distributors. They have massive warehouses full of millions of dollars worth of products. Use that, lean on them, sell their inventory on your website or in your store through an in-store kiosk. Expand with new channels. Zeke was talking about growth. We didn't even get into marketplace integrations, but whether it's Gunbroker or Guns.Deals, or the list goes on and on. There's so many different marketplaces where you can sell products and just get in front of more customers. And again, when you use an integration, your inventory is connected. You're not going to oversell. You're not going to have to cancel orders. You're not going to have to manually enter those orders into your software. It's all one. And of course, on the compliance side, ensure accuracy. We talked at length about the violations and the risks and how the software really helps eliminate and prevent so much of that risk. All right, we're going to take a quick look at an inside look at Jim's Firearms. And this really is just talking about a lot of what we already talked about. But as Dylan said, it's a 33-year-old business. I love this quote that you sent my way, Dylan. So I just put it on the board there. Everyone can read it. We don't need to read it, but 33-year-old business. And for the first 31 years, y'all were using paper. And this is a common theme. We see this across the board, especially Zeke and I see this every day. Younger generations coming in and digitizing the family business, right? Dylan's coming in and slowly but surely, one step at a time, digitizing everything. And you can see all the different things up there. Zeke, you want to just highlight on the e-commerce site here and what you've done and your team?
Yes, so we built a fully integrated website for gyms. This is the same inventory that they have in their store, same products that they sell in their store, no duplicate data entry, nothing unnecessary that they have to do, only things that you must do to get products up on the website. And we automated different processes. We have relationship with so many distributors, so we get data from distributors. So any distributor that Jim has a relationship with, we're able to fetch their data and fill in the blanks for Jim. So, and this is a work in progress. The website improves every day, and it never finishes. It's a never-ending process. But this is just the beginning. We'll be adding more aspects to their digital business, like mobile app, and then we will add some email marketing. We're already doing search engine optimization for gyms. So and then by the time we get done with those, there'll be new things to do. So it's a forever project.
Always growing. And I'm going to let Dylan talk to this slide. There's not a lot of words. It's just the visual is all you need. Go ahead, Dylan. What do you want to say about this?
Yeah, so the dirty closet you see on the right, that's where all those binders used to live. That's maybe a third or a quarter of 30 years worth of 3-ring binders. I was joking with them earlier. If anybody wants any, hit me up. I'll mail it to you for free. But once we switched over, we were able to kind of close out the old FFL, get rid of all that paper, talk about a headache gone. We had talked about trace speed and all of that, having to find a trace from 2001 and go back and dig and kick dust off and fight a cockroach or two. It's being able to just go online and pull that trace immediately and email it back. I mean, just talk this, the time that saves in itself almost makes everything worth it. But seriously, on the binders, if y'all need me, I'm your guy. But you should switch so you don't need any.
Yeah. Well, and sorry I took that picture of your messy closet. But what do you call that now? The suppressor cave or?
Suppressor cage. It always used to be called the tomb. Now it's the suppressor tomb. So that's where we started putting all of our NFA stuff. It's really opened up a lot more storage for that. It's better than the little metal box it was in.
Yes. Well, whatever you call it, it is no longer just a huge space full of paper, and it's now full of actual products that y'all can sell. So I love that. I had to snap those pictures when I was in Louisiana last month. All right, so we have 8 minutes left. We are, I think, right on schedule. So we're going to go around the horn here and just do a quick, if there's one thing, one biggest takeaway that you want to tell the dealers who are here today, what would it be? So we will start with Dylan.
Yeah, absolutely. I said it here. I'll summarize it. Basically, the people you choose to help you out with this is very important. Make sure you get the right team around you. Everybody from FFL Guard to FastBound to 4473 Cloud and Celerant have gotten nothing but good support all the way across the board from them. And I trust each and every one of them to make sure that we're growing and continue to be compliant, and there's nothing that's going to sneak up and get us later on down the road.
Awesome. And next is Jameson.
Technology and seamless integrations can't be underestimated. When you guys are doing your homework, take a look at the whole solution. I tell everybody, get a trial account, get a demo, have a list of your questions, make sure they show it to you. But make sure that what they say they do is they actually follow through with it.
Good. And Trav?
Exactly what Jameson said. Again, you're the FFL. You are responsible for your compliance. It doesn't matter what I tell you, what Jameson tells you, what any software company tells you, you're ultimately responsible. If ATF comes in and does an inspection, you're the one getting the violation, not us. So challenge them, know what you're required to do as far as being compliant, and make sure their software does that for you.
And Alexis?
Biggest takeaway for me is that ATF compliance demands perfection. There's no allowance for an error. Even missteps as simple as how you file your 4473s can impact your life, your livelihood, your license, your savings. And prevention is your only protection. One of the things we do at FFL Guard is help people select and implement software. Guys, this is best in class for everything. This, every one of the people here are the gold standard. And I can't tell you enough how important it is to lean into that. Things have changed. Licenses are in danger. Lean into digital.
Yes, 100%. Zeke?
I will say, compliance is obviously, super important, but don't get overwhelmed. Leverage technology, and like everybody else has said, technology is the savior here. Leverage technology, but at the same time, don't lose sight of growth. You still got to keep plugging along. You got to keep doing creative things. You got to keep introducing new functionality, new approaches to the business, and that's what keeps you relevant. And as we all know, our industry is very competitive. So the more you can do and leverage technology, know exactly where your data is, what you have, what you don't have, what you need to buy, all those things for your stores and other digital channels, I will say, while keeping compliance intact. So,
Yes. Awesome. And which goes back to Dylan's point, right? Make sure you choose the right partners that can really help you facilitate that, both on the compliance side and on the growth side. You know, having that e-commerce and all those different digital aspects that you really need to be competitive in today's market. And my biggest takeaway is start small, right? I feel like a lot of times we do these sessions and we talk about so much and we're always tight on time and we're trying to cram it all in. And for us all here, I mean, this is what we talk about all day, every day. But for a lot of the dealers who are on this session, it can be overwhelming and you leave these sessions probably not even knowing where to start. We've got a whole mix of people on this call. We've got some of our clients who've been with us for 10 years. And then we've got dealers who are still totally manual. And everybody in between. So my biggest takeaway always is start small, one step at a time, add on as you go. It's not always the easiest process, especially, I mean, Dylan, you can say it better than all of us, but when you are 31 years fully running a manual business and you are digitizing literally every aspect, like in the Jim's Firearms case, it takes time and it's not always easy, but stick with it. One step at a time. Those small steps become big steps, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And again, it's choose the right provider to really help guide you through that journey, because it's a journey worth taking. All right, so we have a couple minutes left, 3 minutes left. That's it for questions. We do have all of our contact information up here on the screen, our emails as well. We're all eager and happy to take your calls and answer any questions you have, schedule one-on-one demos if that's something you're interested in. Drop any questions over there. Like I said earlier, if we don't get to all of them, we will answer them for sure via email. So first question here. Say you get, let's see, this will probably be for Alexis. Say you get revoked, can you become a responsible person under someone else's license?
You cannot. Once you are the responsible person on a license that's been revoked, it is virtually impossible to be a license holder ever again.
Okay. Next question is David. This is going to be for Jameson. I'm currently using Excel for my A&D book. If I was to come over to FastBound, would I need to transfer my Excel book into FastBound or just start putting new acquisitions and the related dispositions into FastBound from that point?
Yeah, you would take all of your open items from Excel, paste that onto our import template, and then you can import all of your open items. Then you'd want to properly close out your Excel. And I recommend printing it out as PDF or saving it as a PDF so you have a non-editable copy. And I would look into getting away from that as soon as possible, as most of the times when I look at people using Excel, it's not compliant. It's not, doesn't have the updated headers. You're not tracking audit changes and things like that. So if ATF were to come in, they could cite you for that.
Okay, another question, follow up from David as well for Jameson. Excuse me, how does the customer sign the 4473 in FastBound? Do I need to use a signature pad? If so, does FastBound support Topaz pads?
Yep, we do support Topaz. They've gotten a little more expensive over the years. So if you don't have one, I'd look at getting maybe a Chromebook, because it's just a digital signature on a touchscreen, works great. But if you already have Topazes, you can just jump on our support and we'll walk through getting all that set up so you can use them.
Got it. And is there a cost to convert from Cellerant's A&D book to the FastBound book? And what is the first step of the process? So I will take the first part of that question. We don't charge at Cellerant. We want you to run your business however you want to run it. So we've got our own A&D book. If you want to switch to FastBound, we have a seamless integration and there's no fee for that. Of course, you have to become a FastBound client. And Jamie, I'll let you speak to that and the first step there.
Yep, I'm having audio problems, so if you lose me, I apologize, but getting set up with FastBound, onboarding, everything's all included. So it's just a matter of letting us know what you need and we'll make sure that you're...
Okay, we are at time, but we have two more quick questions I'll just throw in. This is for Dylan, or maybe Zeke too could answer it. Is Jim's Firearms using Cumulus Retail or Stratus Enterprise? So
we're Stratus all the way.
Yeah. Awesome. And I'll just elaborate to that just so everyone knows what we're even talking about for those of you who don't know. So at Cellerant, we offer two retail platforms for you to choose from. Cumulus Retail is our lighter, more cost-effective solution, typically for the smaller dealers. And then if you're a bigger, more enterprise type business where you really have more comprehensive needs, Stratus Enterprise is a more enterprise solution. And that's of course what Jim's Firearms is using with e-commerce as well, Stratus e-commerce. Last question, Travis, this one's for you. What is the process if we want to get started with digital waivers?
Digital waivers. So I think that's actually
I'm sorry, digital 4473s.
Oh, digital 4473s. I can answer that one. You really just need to either give us a call or just go to 4473cloud.com and click the Get Started button. From the time you click that button to the time you fill out the web form, your account will be created in about 5 minutes.
Okay, and a follow-up question to that. What do we do with all of our current paper?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think Alexis would agree with me. If you have a lot of paper, and I think Dylan would as well, I would sunset that FFL, return all the paper to ATF, get a new FFL, and start clean digitally.
Absolutely. Alternatively, Travis, you can scan them, correct? And
And
keep them for 3 more
years. It's going to be a lot of fun. But you can. So if you scan them, you do have to keep, per the ruling, 3 years of paper on hand. Anything older than 3 years, it's like ATF just closed their eyes, threw a dart. Oh, 3 years. Okay, so this arbitrary number of 3 years, you have to keep paper. Anything older than that, you can scan and convert to digital and store digitally. And then every year after that, for those 3 years, convert that stuff over to digital as well, if you want to go that route. And we can certainly support you in doing that. It's way easier to close close your FFL and start a new one.
And Dylan, what did y'all do?
We closed out that FFL. That's how I've got all those empty binders.
Yes, you are not scanning all that paper.
No, we shipped out, I think we waited, it was an F-150 worth of 4473s. So it was like something like 5,000 pounds. So I wouldn't recommend trying to scan all those. Honestly, it was a pretty easy process to go ahead and close the FFL out and get the new one started up.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that wraps us up for today. So thank you everybody for joining. Hopefully everyone learned at least a couple new nuggets today to take back to your team. Like I mentioned, we're all here and we're happy to jump on calls to answer any other questions you have, schedule some software demonstrations. We thank you all for joining, and everyone, all of our experts here on the call, thanks for joining me, and take care, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.